Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Parkside Cabin Rentals. Dozens of different layouts and designs for their cabins, decades and decades of experience in the hospitality business, and some of the exact same equipment used to clean and sterilize hospitals that they've gone out and purchased. If you want to get away, visit ParksideCabinRentals.com. About a cabin in the Smokies right now, the perfect way to self-isolate and still keep your mind kind of calm by looking out at the Smokies. Parkside Cabin Rentals, check them out and their website today. Josh Ward, who of course covers recruiting for 99.1 The Sports Animal, there was a big story that arrived as sort of a surprise to most of us this week regarding the latest member of Jeremy Pruitt's staff and a VFL, Jay Graham. Tell folks what happened and the deal.
And it goes back to his time at Texas A&M, and the penalty that essentially still stands for Jay Graham now at Tennessee would be an elimination of being able to travel out for the contact period, which, by the way, we don't know is coming in 2020. Yeah. So there's a chance there isn't a contact period. I hope that there is, but Jay Graham would not be able to go out on the road on behalf of Tennessee during the contact period to see recruits. I would say, though, that if there is a year, even if that does happen, to where you deal with not being able to go through a contact period, Tennessee has shown how to manage something like that. And also, some of the penalties go back to January, so they've already dealt with that at Tennessee, and I would say dealt with it pretty well, considering they closed out the 2020 class strongly.
UT knew it was coming.
Right.
The rest of us didn't.
It's a surprise publicly, not a surprise to University of Tennessee.
Yeah, and you also wonder, one of the stories that's going around, which, you know, it's legitimate, could be, it's also that natural defense mechanism. Well, he left, so Texas A&M just dumped it all on him. We'll never know how much of that is true, how much of that Texas A&M did say, it was Jay Graham. He did it on the way out the door. Never know specifically, but that is being kicked around.
Sure, and Jimbo Fisher was penalized in this. Yeah. I would say that this is one that looks worse in the headline than when you click on the story and read through it. And also just look at how Tennessee is recruited. Tennessee's done well recruiting in the state of North Carolina.
Because Jay Graham's cheap again, like right. He did at A&M.
Yeah, you'll hear that tossed around the SEC, and it'll get tossed back to other schools as well. I don't think this is going to have a negative impact on Tennessee.
All right, here's another thing I want to ask if it'll have a negative impact on Tennessee. I don't think so. Jeremy Pruitt, who I've been bragging on because I think he's been doing better and better with the media stuff, the media side of things, especially during this pandemic. He went on the Dan Patrick Show this week, and you actually texted me. I wasn't listening, and you texted me. I went back and rewatched the whole thing. It did not go as planned.
It didn't. It was a brief interview, and you could tell that Dan Patrick actually kind of cut the interview off because I think he was over it as well, but it was kind of hyped up ahead of time. Yeah, social media, Tennessee does a really good job of that, and it was just brief answers from Tennessee's head coach. There was a lack of chemistry between Dan Patrick and Jeremy Pruitt. That was pretty clear, and by the end of it, kind of poking fun at Tennessee's football coach, that's putting it nicely.
Yeah.
They spent more time doing that than actually the interview that lasts about 6+ minutes. The making fun of Tennessee's coach took about 7 minutes.
Yeah, laughing about how bad the interview was longer than the actual interview.
Yeah.
They even had somebody call in. They had one of their guys say Bill Belichick just called to say how well that went or something to that effect. Yeah.
But I don't think I answered your question. Is there any recruiting impact? No, I don't think too many recruits were watching the Dan Patrick Show live or afterward.
No. If they're recruiting middle-aged white men, then that
might have some kind of effect, but I don't think that's taking place.
All right, let's take a look at 247.com's latest recruiting rankings. What you see there, this is just the SEC teams, and you see that over on the far right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The NR means national rank. That's where they rank in the country. So Tennessee, which had been number 2 for a long time, is now down to number 4. Still pretty good. Still leading the league. You see their commitments. Alabama has made a recent climb up the charts as we expected. Missouri doing surprisingly well with first-year coach over there. Your thoughts on where Tennessee is right now in terms of recruiting?
Yeah, Tennessee continues to be in a really good position. Tennessee's in the Final 3 for a highly touted defensive tackle named Peyton Page, who's announcing later this month. But also you can look at some of the numbers with Tennessee's class when you start to dive into it. Look at the average star rating. Tennessee just very obviously has more work to do. Actually, the average star or the average player rating for each individual player for Tennessee by the composite is identical to last year for Tennessee. And last year, Tennessee signed the number 10 class in the country, which would be good. Tennessee, again, wants to do better than that, so more work to be done. Jeremy Pruitt knows that. But I also think Tennessee's in a really good position to where, assuming we can get some football on the field this fall, if they win more, you can have more recruiting success as well.
Absolutely. All right. When we come back, It's a holiday weekend, it's the middle of summer, it's a pandemic. I could easily do the talk radio thing that you heard nationally all week. It's like, what's your favorite, red, white, or blue? Hot dogs or hamburger? Instead, we're going to keep it kind of UT with a mix of U.S. history and some summer big events. I'll explain when we come back what was Tennessee's Declaration of Independence football game. And I'm not talking about an Independence Ball. Come on back.